I grip the edge of the mahogany dining table, my knuckles turning white as Mother's voice slices through the restaurant's gentle ambiance. You're throwing your life away, Alexa, just like everything else you've touched. My name is Alexa, and this is the moment I decided my mother needed to pay for 23 years of calculated cruelty. The other diners pretend not to stare, but I catch their furtive glances. My father, Derek, shifts uncomfortably in his chair while my stepfather, Marcus, studies his wineglass with sudden fascination. Only my 5-year-old sister, Sophie, continues eating her pasta, oblivious to the tension crackling through the air. I got promoted to senior analyst, I say, keeping my voice steady. Most people would consider that an achievement. Mother's perfectly painted lips curl into a familiar sneer. Achievement? Working 60 hours a week for what? To live in that shabby apartment when you could be following Marcus's investment strategy? Rebecca, my father warns, but she waves him off like an irritating fly. You've always been determined to disappoint me. She takes a deliberate sip of her wine. Remember when you chose that state university over Princeton? Another stellar decision. The memory of that fight resurfaces. Her throwing my acceptance letter in my face, screaming about family legacy while I packed my bags. I'd chosen freedom over her suffocating expectations, and she's never forgiven me. I'm doing fine, Mother. More than fine, actually. Fine, she laughs, the sound sharp as breaking glass. Is that what you tell yourself? While your sister is already in advanced placement at 5, you're still fumbling around trying to find yourself. Sophie looks up at the mention of her name, marinara sauce smeared across her chin. Mother immediately softens, reaching over to dab her face with a napkin. Careful, sweetheart. This is why we always wear our special eating clothes, remember? The contrast in her tone makes my stomach turn. I've never heard that gentleness directed at me, not once in 23 years. Rebecca, that's enough. Marcus finally intervenes, his hand covering hers. This is supposed to be a celebration. Oh yes, let's celebrate mediocrity, she replies, but lowers her voice to a venomous whisper. You know what your problem is, Alexa. You've always been jealous of the attention Sophie gets. It's pathetic, really. A grown woman envying a child. Something snaps inside me. Years of carefully contained rage bubble to the surface as I stand, my chair scraping against the floor. The only pathetic thing here is watching you try to recreate your perfect family with Sophie because you failed so miserably with me. Mother's face flushes red. How dare you? No, how dare you? I grab my purse, hands shaking. You've spent my entire life trying to mold me into your mini-me, and when that failed, you replaced me with a newer model. Well, congratulations. Sophie's everything you wanted. But remember this, she'll grow up too, and eventually she'll see you for what you really are. I turn to leave but pause, delivering one final blow. By the way, that promotion comes with a corner office, higher up than Marcus ever got at that firm. The silence that follows me out is deafening. As I step into the cool evening air, my phone buzzes with messages. Probably my father trying to smooth things over, like always. I delete them without reading. Walking to my car, I realize something has fundamentally shifted. The hurt little girl who desperately sought her mother's approval is gone. In her place stands someone stronger, someone who's finally seen the truth. Some mothers don't deserve forgiveness. I start my engine, a plan already forming in my mind. Mother always taught me that appearance is everything. Time to show her just how well I learned that lesson. The next morning I find myself standing in front of my childhood home, the mansion's pristine facade mocking everything broken inside. Through the window, I watch Sophie twirling in her ballet outfit, while Mother adjusts her hair with the tenderness she never showed me. Lily's voice crackles through my phone. You shouldn't torture yourself like this. I'm not torturing myself, I'm gathering intelligence. I snap a few photos of Mother fussing over Sophie's perfect bun. Did you find anything in those financial records? About that. Lily hesitates. Marcus's company had some interesting transactions last quarter. Large sums moving through shell corporations. Your mother's fingerprints are all over it. A car door slams behind me. I whirl around to find my father approaching, his face etched with concern. I'll call you back, I tell Lily, hanging up. Spying on the enemy? Derek asks, attempting humour but failing. Just observing the golden child's morning routine. The bitterness in my voice surprises even me. He sighs, running a hand through his greying hair. Your mother called me 6 times last night. She's worried about your emotional state. My emotional state? I laugh sharply. That's rich coming from someone who threw a crystal vase at the wall when Sophie got a B+ in kindergarten math. Alexa, don't defend her, Dad. Not after everything. The front door opens, and Sophie bursts out, followed by Mother in her designer workout wear. She freezes when she sees us, her perfectly composed mask slipping for just a second. Derek, what are you doing here? Her eyes narrow at me. And Alexa. How unexpected. Sophie runs to me, wrapping her arms around my waist. Lexa, are you coming to my recital? Before I can answer, Mother cuts in. Darling, we're running late for practice. Say goodbye to your sister. But Mom? Now, Sophie. I watch my sister's shoulders slump as she obeys, climbing into the Range Rover. Mother pauses before following, her voice dropping to that deadly quiet tone I know too well. If you're here to apologise for last night's embarrassing display, I suggest you do it properly. At the charity gala this weekend, the board members will be there, and it would look better if we presented a united front. Of course, everything's about appearances. Actually, I say, matching her tone, I came to drop off some paperwork. Marcus asked me to review those offshore account statements. Something about irregularities? The colour drains from her face. I don't know what you're talking about. No, that's odd because his signature's on all of them, right next to yours. Dad steps between us. This isn't the time or place. It never is it? I turn to him. How long have you known about the money laundering, Dad? Or did you just look the other way like you always do? Mother's mask cracks completely. You vindictive little... Rebecca! Marcus appears in the doorway, his usual smooth demeanour ruffled. We need to leave. Now. She composes herself with visible effort, smoothing her yoga pants. We'll discuss this later, Alexa, preferably when you're thinking more clearly. I watch them drive away, Sophie's small face pressed against the window. Dad touches my shoulder. Whatever you're planning, be careful. Your mother is more vulnerable than she looks. I finish. I know exactly what I'm doing. That's what worries me. He studies me with sad eyes. You're starting to sound just like her. The words hit harder than he probably intended. I shake off his hand, already pulling up Lily's number again. I have to go. Some of us actually work for a living. Alexa, wait. But I'm already walking away, my mind racing with possibilities. Mother thinks she can control the narrative. Fine. Let her try. Because while she's busy maintaining her perfect facade, I'll be dismantling it piece by piece, starting with those offshore accounts. Behind me, I hear Dad calling my name, but I don't look back, can't look back. Because if I do, I might remember the little girl who once believed in happy endings. And that girl has no place in what comes next. The charity gala sparkles with fake smiles and designer gowns, but I'm focused on the USB drive burning a hole in my clutch. 3 hours of hacking into Marcus's private server revealed enough dirt to bury them both. You're sure about this? Ryan squeezes my hand as we navigate through the crowd. Once you start this... They started it. I spot Mother holding court near the champagne fountain, Sophie perched on her hip like a perfect accessory. 23 years ago, the ballroom of the Riverside Country Club drips with old money and new secrets. I recognize half the faces from Mother's dinner parties, the same people who watched her tear me down year after year, sipping their wine and pretending not to notice. Alexa. Marcus intercepts us, his smile tight. A word? Ryan starts to protest, but I shake my head. It's fine. I'll catch up. Marcus leads me to a quiet corner, checking over his shoulder. Whatever game you're playing needs to stop now. Game? I thought we were discussing those interesting transfers to the Cayman Islands. His facade cracks. Your mother is stealing from your company to fund her lifestyle? I pull out my phone, showing him the transaction records. Or did you know about that? You have no idea what you're dealing with. Actually, I do. See those board members by the bar? I nod toward a group of elderly men. They'd be very interested in these numbers, especially since they match the exact amount missing from the pension fund. The colour drains from his face. You wouldn't. Try me. A commotion draws our attention. Mother stands at the centre of the room, champagne glass raised. If I could have everyone's attention, Sophie has prepared a special performance. The crowd coos as my sister steps forward in her miniature ballet outfit. I move closer, watching Mother's triumphant expression. Before we begin, she continues, I'd like to thank everyone for supporting our foundation, especially since recent events have brought certain family matters to light. Her eyes find mine. My eldest daughter, for instance, has been struggling with some emotional difficulties, but we're getting her the help she needs. The room goes silent. Ryan appears at my side, but I barely notice. What are you doing? I hiss. Damage control, darling. Her smile never wavers. We can't have you spreading nasty rumours about the family, can we? You mean the truth? The truth? She laughs delicately. About how you've been obsessing over childhood slights, fabricating stories about financial impropriety. I feel the room turning against me, whispers spreading like poison. Show them the records, I tell Marcus. Tell them what she's been doing. But he steps back, shaking his head. I think you should leave, Alexa, before this gets worse. That's when I see it, the slight tremor in Mother's hand, the way Marcus won't meet my eyes. They planned this, knew I was coming for them, and set the perfect trap. Sophie starts to cry, confused by the tension. Mother pulls her close, playing the protective parent perfectly. Shh, sweetheart, your sister's just having one of her episodes. Episodes? My laugh sounds unhinged even to me. That's rich coming from someone who threw me down the stairs when I was 12 because I got blood on your white carpet. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Mother's mask slips for just a second, revealing the fury beneath. Security? Marcus calls quietly. No need. I pull out the USB drive. I'm leaving, but first, catch Mother. I toss it toward her. She fumbles, drops it into the champagne fountain, exactly as I planned. That was your evidence? She smirks. How convenient. That was a decoy. I meet her eyes. The real files went to the SEC 20 minutes ago. Check your phone. On cue, her phone buzzes, then Marcus's. Then half the room's phones light up with breaking news alerts about potential fraud at his company. You... Mother starts forward, but Ryan pulls me back. Time to go, he mutters. As security approaches, I catch one last glimpse of Mother's face, pure hatred mixed with something else. Fear. Good. She should be afraid. Because this isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about justice. And I'm just getting started. The police lights flash red and blue across Mother's pristine white walls as they lead Marcus out in handcuffs. I watch from across the street, my victory turning to ash in my mouth when Sophie's screams pierce the night air. No, don't take him. She clings to his leg while Mother stands frozen in the doorway, her perfect makeup streaking down her cheeks. My phone buzzes. Lily's text reads, "Turn on the news. Now." I don't need to. The headlines are already spreading like wildfire. Tech CEO arrested for major financial fraud. But it's the subtitle that makes my blood run cold. Investigation reveals multiple conspirators. Ryan pulls up in his car, rolling down the window. Get in. Your father's been trying to reach you. The drive to Dad's apartment is silent until Ryan speaks. You didn't tell me Derek was involved. He wasn't. But even as I say it, pieces start clicking into place. The way Dad always knew about Mother's spending before anyone else, his careful avoidance whenever I mentioned Marcus's company. Dad's waiting at his door, looking older than I've ever seen him. You should have come to me first. Why? So you could warn them. He pulls me inside, closing the door on Ryan. The FBI just left. They're looking into everyone connected to Marcus's accounts. Good. but my voice wavers. Including the offshore trust fund in your name? The floor seems to tilt beneath my feet. What trust fund? The one your mother and I set up when we divorced. He sinks into his armchair. The one Marcus has been using to hide money for years. That's impossible. I never... You were 3. He won't meet my eyes. Rebecca insisted. Said it was for your future, but really, it was her insurance policy. Against me. Against anyone who might threaten her lifestyle. My phone rings. Mother. When I answer, her voice is eerily calm. Having fun destroying our family. You did that yourself? Did I? Tell me, darling, how do you think the FBI will react when they discover your trust fund? The one that's been receiving mysterious deposits for 20 years? The room spins. You wouldn't. Wouldn't I? Sophie needs at least one parent out of prison. She pauses. Unless we can come to an arrangement. Dad reaches for the phone, but I step back. What kind of arrangement? Simple. You tell the FBI you falsified the evidence against Marcus, that your accusations were motivated by childhood resentment. Your trust fund will be proof of your instability, a desperate attempt to frame innocent people. They'll never believe, with the right lawyers, the right witnesses, you'd be amazed what people will believe. Her voice hardens. You have 1 hour to decide. Your revenge or your freedom. Choose wisely. The line goes dead. Dad starts to speak, but I hold up my hand, remembering every perfect birthday party thrown for Sophie, every time Mother chose her over me. My phone buzzes again. Lily sending documents, bank statements, emails, a whole digital trail leading straight to my trust fund. I can explain, Dad begins. Save it. I head for the door. You had 20 years to explain. Ryan's waiting in the hallway. What are you going to do? Through the window, I can see more police cars arriving at Mother's house. Sophie's still crying, but now Mother holds her, stroking her hair the way she never did with me. Alexa? I turn to Ryan, my decision crystallizing like ice. Call your cousin at the district attorney's office. I need to make a deal. You can't be serious. Mother's right about one thing. I watch as the FBI enters Dad's building. Sophie needs a parent out of prison. And you're willing to sacrifice yourself? I think of Sophie's tears, of all the times I wished someone had protected me from Mother's poison. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. Sometimes it's about saving someone else. The elevator dings, and federal agents step out. As they approach, I straighten my spine, channeling Mother's perfect posture one last time. Because in the end, she taught me well. Appearance is everything. And right now, I need to appear exactly guilty enough to take everyone down with me. The interrogation room feels smaller with each passing hour. I've given my statement 3 times, each version more carefully crafted than the last. The FBI agent across from me, Agent Chen, slides another document across the table. Your father's signature on the trust fund paperwork, she taps the page. And your mother's. But not Marcus's. Interesting, wouldn't you say? My hands remain steady as I push the paper back. I was 3, I don't remember any paperwork. But you remember enough to accuse your stepfather of fraud. The door opens. Lily stands there with Ryan, both looking exhausted. Your lawyer's here, Lily says. I don't need... Yes, you do. Ryan's voice carries an edge I've never heard before. They're searching your apartment right now. Agent Chen's expression doesn't change. We can continue this later. In the hallway, Lily grabs my arm. They found something in your email. Messages between you and Marcus from 6 months ago. The floor seems to tilt. That's impossible. I never... Someone used your account. The timestamps match your mother's login patterns. Of course. Mother always did know how to play the long game. I lean against the wall, remembering all those times she borrowed my laptop, claiming hers wasn't working. There's more. Ryan won't meet my eyes. Sophie's trust fund. It's connected to yours. If one goes down, they both do. The realization hits like a physical blow. Mother's ultimate insurance policy, linking my fate to Sophie's. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. The DA's office, 1 hour. Come alone or Sophie loses everything. R. I need air, I tell them, heading for the stairs before they can stop me. The DA's office occupies the top floor of a glass tower. Mother stands at the window, her reflection perfectly composed despite everything. I always knew you'd try to destroy me. She doesn't turn around, but I never thought you'd be stupid enough to succeed. Where's Sophie? Safe, unlike her trust fund. Now she faces me, eyes glittering. Did you know child services gets involved when there's financial fraud? Such a shame, really. All those private school opportunities gone. My nails dig into my palms. What do you want? A confession. Written, recorded, and notarized. You orchestrated everything. The false evidence, the SEC investigation, all of it. A desperate attempt to frame your innocent parents. You mean like you framed me with those emails? Her smile is razor sharp. Prove it. My phone buzzes again. Lily sending screenshots of bank records. Something catches my eye. A recurring transfer from Mother's private account to Marcus's company, starting the day Sophie was born. You knew. The pieces click together. You knew what Marcus was doing from the beginning. That's why you pushed him to adopt Sophie, to protect her trust fund from what was coming. I protected both my children. Her voice hardens. One of them was just smart enough to appreciate it. By making me an accomplice? By giving you an opportunity. She steps closer. Take the fall, Alexa. Be the villain you so desperately want to be. Sophie keeps her future, you get your revenge by exposing our manipulation, and everyone wins. Except me. Please, she waves dismissively. You've been playing victim your whole life. Now you can be a martyr instead. My phone buzzes one last time. Ryan sending security footage from Mother's house. The timestamp shows her at her computer logging into my email account. Proof. I look at my mother, really look at her, and see something I never noticed before. Fear. Not of justice or exposure, but of losing control. Of being powerless like she made me feel all those years. You're right, I say quietly. I have been playing a role my whole life. She relaxes slightly, victorious. But not victim. I pull out my phone, showing her the security footage. Student, you taught me everything I know about manipulation, Mother, including how to set a trap. The colour drains from her face as Agent Chen steps into the room, recording device in hand. Thank you, Mrs. Harrison, Chen says. That was quite a confession. Mother lunges for my phone, but it's too late. Her mask finally cracks completely, revealing the monster I always knew lurked beneath. And as they lead her away, I realize something. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemy. It's about becoming strong enough to walk away from their game entirely. The holding cell smells like bleach and despair. I've been here for 6 hours since Mother's lawyer produced evidence that I'd been embezzling from Marcus's company all along. The security footage I thought would save me? Apparently doctored. My phone? Conveniently missing after the DA's office confrontation. Your father's here. The guard's voice echoes off concrete walls. Dad looks older than ever, his shoulders bent under an invisible weight. The house is being seized, he says without preamble. They're taking Sophie into protective custody. My stomach lurches. She can't stay with you. Rebecca's lawyers are arguing I was complicit. He won't meet my eyes. They found transfers from my account to yours. Monthly payments going back years. The child support you owed looks like hush money now. His laugh is hollow. Your mother's good, I'll give her that. A new guard appears. Mr. Harrison, time's up. And Ms. Harrison. She checks her clipboard. Your boyfriend's withdrawn his statement supporting your alibi. The words hit like physical blows. Ryan, the one person I thought would never. He's scared, Dad says quietly. We all are. After he leaves, I press my forehead against the cold wall, trying to think. Mother's masterpiece is complete. She's turned everyone against me, just like she always threatened she would. Lily appears next, her face grave. I found something. About Sophie's adoption. What? The papers weren't filed properly. Marcus never legally adopted her. Hope flares briefly before reality crushes it. That doesn't matter now. I'm going to prison. Unless you're not Sophie's legal guardian. I stare at her. What are you talking about? Rebecca filed temporary guardianship papers this morning. For me. Lily's voice cracks. She's been planning this for months. Said if I didn't accept, she'd reveal what really happened the night of my father's accident. The piece I've been missing clicks into place. The night Mother was driving. Lily nods, tears streaming. I'm so sorry, Alexa. I can't lose everything. My career, my family's reputation. So you're choosing her. Like everyone else. She's offering a deal. If you sign a full confession, Sophie stays with me instead of going into the system. You'll serve 5 years max. And if I don't? Then she releases evidence that you've been planning this revenge scheme since college. Premeditated fraud carries 15 to 20 years. Lily slides papers through the slot. You have until morning to decide. After she leaves, I read the confession Mother's prepared. It's perfect, just enough truth mixed with lies to be believable. I'd lose everything, but Sophie would be safe, protected. The guard returns with one final visitor, Sophie herself clutching her stuffed rabbit. Why are you in jail? She asks, pressing her small hand against the glass. Mommy says you're sick like she was before Marcus came. What do you mean sick? She showed me pictures. From when you were little, in the hospital. She said that's why you tell lies sometimes. My blood runs cold. The psychiatric hold when I was 12, after I tried to tell the school counsellor about Mother's accidents. Sophie, listen to me. Whatever Mom tells you. Time's up, the guard interrupts. I love you, Lexa. Sophie's voice wavers. Mommy says if I'm good, maybe they'll let you come home soon. They lead her away as I slam my fist against the glass, feeling the last pieces of my life crumble. Mother's won. She's taken everything. My freedom, my reputation, even my sister's trust. I pick up the confession, pen hovering over the signature line. One signature to save Sophie from the system, to keep her from ending up like me. But then I remember Mother's words from years ago. Sometimes the greatest power isn't in fighting back. It's in knowing when to let someone destroy themselves. I tear the confession in half. Because maybe, just maybe, Mother's final lesson will be her undoing. After all, she taught me everything I know about patience, about playing the long game. And prison? Prison gives you nothing but time to plan. 3 months into my sentence, Mother visits. She glides into the prison visiting room like she's entering a country club. Designer handbag clutched close as if the fluorescent lights might tarnish it. You're looking institutional, she says, settling into the metal chair. Cut the small talk. Why are you here? She slides a manila envelope across the table. Marcus is dead. Apparent suicide in his cell last night. My fingers go numb. What? He left a confession. Full details of the financial fraud going back decades, names, dates, offshore accounts. Her smile is brittle, including evidence that completely exonerates you. How convenient, isn't it? She leans forward. Of course, the confession hasn't been officially filed yet. That depends on you. A guard shifts nearby, reminding me we're being watched. What do you want? Sophie's trust fund is still tied to yours. If Marcus's confession goes public, she loses everything. Mother's voice drops. Unless you sign over your rights to both trusts. Permanently. So you can steal from her too. So I can protect her from becoming you. The words slice deep, but I force myself to stay still. Where is she? Safe, with Lily, who, unlike you, understands family loyalty. I think of Sophie's face pressed against the visiting room glass, of all the times Mother used her as a weapon against me. And Dad? Cooperating. Amazing what people will do when faced with federal charges. She checks her watch. You have 10 minutes to decide. The DA's waiting for my call. I stand abruptly, making her flinch. You really think you've won, don't you? Darling, I won the moment you were born. Some people are simply born to lose. Like Marcus? Her composure cracks just slightly. What? I lean closer, dropping my voice. Did he really kill himself, Mother? Or did you help him along, like you helped Lily's father? You can't prove anything. Actually, I can. I smile, channeling her own cold expression. Remember those hospital records you used to convince Sophie I was crazy? I requested copies. Found something interesting in the toxicology reports from that night. Something that matches what they found in Marcus's cell. She goes very still. You're bluffing. Am I? Check your phone. On cue, her phone buzzes, an email from my father's account containing decades of carefully preserved evidence. Every accident, every convenient death, every financial manipulation. Dad may be cooperating, I say quietly, but not with you. God! She stands, but I grab her wrist. Sit down, Mother, we're not finished. You'll never prove... I don't need to prove anything. The FBI is executing a search warrant at your house right now. Amazing what they find when they know where to look. Her mask finally shatters completely. You planned this. All of it. Even getting arrested. You taught me well. About patience. About playing the long game. I release her wrist. About making sure your enemies destroy themselves. The guard approaches. Everything okay here? Fine, Mother says, but her voice shakes. My daughter was just leaving. Actually, I smile at the guard. I believe Agent Chen is waiting to speak with my mother about Marcus Harrison's death. Mother's face goes chalk white as two FBI agents enter the room. As they lead her away, she turns back once. Sophie, she whispers. She'll never forgive you. Maybe not, but at least she'll be free of you. I watch through the window as they escort her down the corridor, her designer heels clicking against concrete. In her wake, I feel something unexpected. Not triumph, not satisfaction, but a profound emptiness. Because in the end, the greatest revenge wasn't destroying her empire or exposing her crimes. It was becoming strong enough to walk away from her game entirely. Tomorrow I'll be released. Evidence of my innocence already filed with the court. Sophie will be waiting with Dad, starting a new life untainted by Mother's poison. But tonight I sit in my cell one last time, remembering the little girl who once desperately sought her mother's love. She's gone now, replaced by someone stronger. Someone who finally understands that some victories come not from winning, but from refusing to play at all. The courtroom empties slowly after Mother's sentencing. 25 years for Marcus's death, another 10 for financial fraud. I remain seated, watching her being led away, still wearing Chanel beneath her handcuffs. You didn't have to come, Dad says beside me. Yes, I did. Sophie's small hand slips into mine. At 6 now, she understands more than she should. Is Mommy going to the bad place? She's going somewhere she can't hurt anyone anymore. Lily hovers in the doorway, her testimony against Mother still hanging in the air between us. Alexa, Don't. I stand, lifting Sophie onto my hip. We both did what we had to do. Outside, reporters cluster like vultures. I shield Sophie's face as cameras flash, questions flying. Miss Harrison, how does it feel to expose your mother's crimes? Any comment on Marcus Harrison's death? What about the missing millions? Ryan waits by his car, looking uncertain. We haven't spoken since he withdrew his statement, but now he steps forward. I can explain. Nothing to explain. I move past him. Mother's very persuasive. I remember. At home, Dad's renovated brownstone, not the mansion. I help Sophie with her homework while he makes dinner. The routine feels strange, peaceful, almost normal if you ignore the newspaper headlines scattered across the counter. Found something in the old house files, Dad says, sliding a folder across the table. Before they seized everything. Inside, adoption papers for Sophie. Not Marcus's failed attempt, but earlier ones. My name listed as potential guardian, dated just weeks after her birth. Mother knew, I realise. She always knew she'd need a backup plan. She knew you'd protect Sophie no matter what, Dad's voice catches, even from her. Why didn't you tell me? About any of it. He stares at his hands. The same reason you planned your own arrest. Sometimes the only way to beat Rebecca was to let her think she'd won. The doorbell rings. Agent Chen stands outside with a familiar USB drive. Found this in Marcus's personal effects. Thought you should see it. The video plays. Marcus in his cell looking haunted. Rebecca's been planning this for years, he says, using Alexa, Sophie, all of us. But she made one mistake. She taught Alexa too well, showed her exactly how to. The footage cuts off. Time of recording? I ask. 2 hours before his death. Chen pauses. We're reopening some old cases, including Richard Chen's accident. Lily's father, the first of Mother's convenient deaths. Will it change her sentence? Probably not, but it might help others sleep better. After she leaves, I find Sophie in her room, arranging her dolls. One lies face down, abandoned, Mother's last gift to her. Can we visit Mommy? She asks. Do you want to? She shakes her head. But you always said we should be kind, even to people who aren't kind to us. My throat tightens. Sometimes being kind means staying away, so people can't hurt you anymore. Like you did. Yeah, like I did. Later, I sought through Mother's seized correspondence, letters, emails, a lifetime of manipulation documented in perfect penmanship. The last one, written the night before her arrest, remains unopened. I don't read it. Instead, I watch Sophie sleep, her face peaceful in the glow of her nightlight. On her desk sits a family drawing. Just 3 figures now. Her, me, Dad. No Mother looming over us. No Marcus in the background. My phone buzzes. An unknown number from the prison. Mother, probably, with one last attempt at control. I block the number. Because sometimes victory isn't in the revenge you take, but in the power you refuse to give. In the letters you don't read, the calls you don't answer, the pain you choose to leave behind. Sophie stirs, reaching for my hand in her sleep. I hold it, feeling the pulse of a future unbound by Mother's shadows. Tomorrow brings its own challenges. Therapy appointments, trust fund negotiations, reporters still hungry for headlines. But tonight, in this quiet room, I understand something Mother never could. True power lies not in controlling others, but in finally, completely, letting go. Letting go. Letting go. Letting go. Letting